Next up, I'd like to welcome our agent panel to the meeting. We've got Bob Smith, Eloise McNeil, Pam Morgan, and Steve Flasterer joining us
Morning.
today. And I was reviewing my notes a few minutes ago, and I think combined we have $80 million in real estate volume transacted in the last year from this group. So I appreciate you all taking the time to join us from your busy days. Again, we have Eloise McNeil. She's a member of the Pat Fales team out of the Burke office. They've done 42 deals and 36 million in volume over the last year. We've got Pam Morgan, also from Burke, almost 12 million and 17 transactions in the last year. Steve Flasterer, it's great to see you from Georgetown, 20 million and 27 deals. And last but not least, Bob Smith in Virginia Beach, 12 million and 36 deals. Our Hampton Roads agents have to work a lot harder to get those high volumes because their average sales price is significantly lower. So it's great to see all of you. We're talking today about past client sphere, follow-up communication, especially around client events. I think the fall season is probably the best time to do client events. Do them outside before it gets too cold. I know all of you have had some success with that. Who wants to start with just follow up when it comes to past clients and sphere in general and the importance of that to your business? Bob, I know this is huge for you, so I think I'm just going to start with you.
Well, good morning, Charlie. Good morning, everybody. Yeah, I've been doing the client event thing now for 17 years, and it is a huge part of what I do. I do 2 client events every year. I do a movie in the spring, summer season, which is the opportunity to get in front of everybody's kids. I am now at the point where I'm now selling houses to kids that came to my movies 15 years ago with their families.
Yeah.
And so that's pretty cool. And I love to watch the kids grow. I then do a luncheon every year that is just for the adults. And that occurs at the beginning of December. So it's a Christmas season thing. The luncheon has been at McCormick and Schmick's for the last 14 years. They went out of business during COVID. So I am relocating to a ballroom at Founders Inn. I had one booked for last December. We had to cancel it when our governor limited meetings to 25 people. So I have it scheduled for this December. Hopefully we'll be able to follow through and actually do it. But at that luncheon, how I structure that, it's just for the adults. I give away a Bahamas cruise every year at that luncheon. I've done that for the last 16, 17 years now. And, you know, so that's a part of it. But the luncheon is just a big event where everybody comes out, gets dressed up, and we have a lot of fun, and we play a lot of games, and it's just a great opportunity to get in front of everyone's faces, you know, and see them.
Awesome. I love it. So we're going to get into more detail about how the invitations work, how the events work, what the follow-up looks like. Pam, why don't you share with us kind of what your past client sphere, what your best event is?
My biggest and main event is my reverse pop by for pie, which is, and I have to say, give all credit to Pat Fales and her team because I'm in the same office and I'm copycatting them. I guess that's a good compliment for them. But I started doing that. They've already got the office booked that Monday before Thanksgiving. So I've been doing it at my house the same day, Monday before Thanksgiving. And I provide pies to all my sphere of influence and referrals and all my clients, people that I know.
Awesome. Very good. Down to you, Steve. What are you doing for your past clients in Sphere?
So this past, year and a half, I've had to kind of morph into other kind of things, some in-person things, but I've also gone to Zoom events, which have been pretty successful. I've done 3 Zoom events, and I've titled them Ask the Expert. The first one was in February. I actually had an author friend who's written a book on prohibition in DC, and we had a great discussion. He talked about his book. You know, it was about an hour. I think I had 32 people that were on that Zoom. And then I'm in a BNI chapter, and I had an interior designer. We did one in March where he actually was in April. He came on, and talked a little bit about design, showed some before and after sort of thing. Did an in-person shredding event with other agents in the Georgetown office in March, and that actually went very well. I think that's the second. We canceled it last year, but we had done it 2 years in advance of that. In May, I had a woman who I also know from my BNI group, an organizer, home organizer, who actually talked about how to deal with your closets, your drawers, and I mean, we've all been home, and so we've had time to do stuff like that. So that was very good. And then next Wednesday, I've got an event planned with an acupuncturist that I know. And again, it's going to be Ask the Expert. And so people have questions about those kind of things, and it gives them an opportunity to talk to somebody who may know more about, that kind of topic than they do. So that's been good. Like Pam, I've also done the Thanksgiving reverse Popeye pie event. But this year, I also did one on the 3rd of July at the office, and it was an apple pie for your 4th of July. And it was very successful. People, popped in and they got their pies and so forth. It was a way, my way of showing them some gratitude for the relationship that we have.
Oh, that's awesome. Eloise, I know that you guys, your main event is also a reverse pie buy. What do you want to add to that? And then we'll get into, the nitty gritty of how you all do these events.
This is our 16th year, so consistency is key. Even last year during the pandemic, we still had the pie event. We didn't have people come in and visit with us and eat with us and that kind of stuff. But we took the pies out to the cars and wore crazy hats and stuff like that to try and make it be special, even though it was, not the best time of year. So consistency, I would say, is key.
I appreciate that. Somebody already has a question. Any worries related to COVID for client events? How are you all handling that?
Yeah, so like I said, what we did was we took the pies out to the cars, we wore masks, we asked people to call us when they got there, we had designated parking spaces. And we did end up talking to people through their car windows and stuff like that, but they did a great job wearing masks, as did we. So we'll probably do that again that way this year too.
Eloise, I did the same thing, and I can't tell you how happy people were. This is last November, how happy people were to have some place to go and do something. It was a really great thing. Also curbside pickup. I delivered the pies out to their car, but they were thrilled to be able to do something.
Yeah, normally we give away about 100 pies every year. And even last year we gave away 93. So people were definitely still interested in coming out.
Excellent. If anybody else has any questions, feel free to throw them into the chat and we'll ask the group. Talk to me about return on investment, budgets. So let's start with budgets. How much do you all spend on these events? Bob, what are you spending per head on the events that you do? I imagine the luncheon is not inexpensive.
No, I mean, the luncheon budget comes in at about $7,000.
Okay. For how many people?
That includes all the food, the rental of the facility. That includes door prizes. It includes gift bags that they take home with them. It includes a photographer, and it includes the cruise. So it's not cheap. I don't actually do this from a perspective of, okay, what's my exact return? Because 90 to 95% of my business comes from my past clients. So in reality, everything I'm doing is feeding from all this.
Sure.
And I just look at it and say, okay, $7,000, I'm going to make that up and more in one sale. So I don't worry about the money. The movie budget's about $2,250, and that's buying out the entire theater, all the tickets in the theater, so it can be private. And then I include popcorn and soft drinks and candy and do door prizes at that. So total those two events are about $10,000.
How many people show up to your holiday luncheon?
The luncheon's typically around 90.
Okay.
That come to that. It's been going up every year. When I began it 15 years ago, I think we had 31 people the first time over at McCormick and Smix, and we just kept growing and growing. We took over about half of the entire restaurant by the end. When I get around to it, hopefully this December, it'll be my first time in the big ballroom at Founders Inn, and that's going to be a different experience. I'm expecting a large crowd as long as COVID gets under control.
Awesome.
I did do a movie this summer in spite of COVID, and that was a little concerning, but I just felt I needed to do something and get in front of my folks. And I had about 75 people come out to the movie, and normally I would have closer to 140. But just about everybody wore masks to come into the theater. Once they were seated, they took the masks off because they were eating popcorn and having their soft drinks and all. And we did it. And the people that came were very grateful that I actually did it, because they were so tired of not going anywhere and so tired of not doing anything. And I stepped up to the plate and gave them an opportunity to come out and do a movie for free.
Cool. So normally, we're talking 75, 80 bucks a head for your holiday luncheon, if I did the calculation right in my head. For the movie, you normally get 140 people. It's 2,200 bucks. So what's that? 15, no more than 20 bucks a head. Yes.
Correct.
Okay. Very good. Pam, talk to me about budget.
For my pop by to this point has been about $22 a person with the pie. And I usually, if I'm having it at my house, I'll have food, light snacks and things like that. So $22, $23 a person. And last year I had about 50. It's been growing every year. So and I think it's well worth it. Again, it's not something I'm looking at necessarily how much I'm spending per person, as much as it's just another opportunity to be in front of my people. I get invited to their things, and I enjoy it. A lot of them are my friends. They become friends, and they continue to refer other friends. So it works that way.
Good. You're in the Northern Virginia market. Where do you get your pies?
I get them from Mom's Apple Pie, or Mom's Pies down in Occoquan. I think they've got another office in Leesburg. And they're beautiful pies. They're expensive pies, but they come in nice white boxes. I tie jute string around it make a little tag and saying I'm thankful and just signing my name on it. And it just makes a nice little takeaway. I take it out to the car if they're not comfortable coming in the house. I give them that opportunity and go out and visit with them at the curb.
Very good. Cool. Steve, talk to me about budget.
So, Charlie, it's interesting that you asked about where you get your pies. I've had that debate with myself. I've been getting them from the Fresh Market out in Vienna because it's easy to get out 66 from DC on Sunday morning at 8 o'clock. But for my July apple pie event, I got them from Costco in Pentagon City. And they're huge. They're the size of a baseball diamond or baseball plate, But I actually, like Pam, I went and bought some really festive Stars and Stripes ribbon, and I tied them all up. So I kind of made it all, and people loved that. So I probably spent, just with the ribbon and everything, I probably spent about $700. I think I had 61 folks that showed up for pies. So that was one thing. When I've done them at Thanksgiving, and do it at the office on the Sunday before Thanksgiving, I also have food and beverage and prizes and stuff like that. So I spent about $1,200 in the past when it's been a bigger production. But one thing that I've not done for the last 2 years is the Nats game, and I've done 100 tickets. I think I've done it 5 years now. I've not done it for 2 years because I didn't have games. But that's my favorite event, because you do your phone calls in advance, you prep for it, and then you just show up and have fun with your clients, and you bounce around to the people. You don't have to worry if they've got their drink, cup filled, or they're getting enough of whatever the food is that you're serving. You just socialize. And so that's the deal. And that's been about a $5,000 investment, but it's an investment in the people and the relationships.
So $5,000, and you had how many people show up? About 100?
100.
Okay, and does that include the ticket, some food?
Yeah.
What's included in that?
I do. I add a $15 QR code onto the ticket.
Okay.
That does not buy a beer and a hot dog, by the way.
Right. It sure doesn't.
So they support that. But yeah, it's a lot of fun, and people love it, and they look forward to it, and they've been disappointed that we've not been able to do it. I'm hoping that I'm able to do it next July.
Good, awesome. Eloise, talk to me about budget.
So at the high, we spent about $5,000. Our pies are not all that expensive. We too get them from Costco. We did a taste test, and that was actually one of the best pies. And you can, when you pre-order them, because we end up getting, like 120 pies, and if you pre-order them, you can get them without labels, and we have custom labels made with a request for Zillow reviews, and if you give us a Zillow review, we'll send you a Starbucks gift card, and we also put the ribbons on them and that kind of stuff. So the pies themselves only cost about $1,000. The rest is supplies. Food is a big one when we serve food. So actually, when we did it last year, that was probably one of our least expensive events. Initially, we did the food ourselves, and we spent the whole day doing it. But the catering stuff works out a little bit better.
Sure.
It's a little easier for all of us. We also did
yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I was going to follow up with Steve's other event pre-COVID. We also did a wine and chocolate tasting, which is actually one of my favorite events. We held it at the Wine Attic in Clifton, and we had custom labels made for the chocolates, and the Wine Attic paired each of the chocolates with some wine, and that was the easiest event for us of all. And people really loved it. And we actually have different people who attended that event than usually attend the pie event. So we got a better cross section. So we'll go back to that again after COVID. And that one ended up costing us about $2,500. We had about 50 people.
Awesome. So Barb Genovese is asking how many people are invited to your events. And I guess one of my a follow-up question might be, how many people do you typically invite? And then what percentage generally show up, if you will? Who wants to start?
So I sent a MailChimp invitation out for let's say the apple pie for the 4th of July. I think about 280 invitations went out, and I had 61 folks show up for pies.
Okay. Pam?
So,
this past year, I sent out 75 invitations, and I had 50 pies. And I'm also including a lot of neighbors that maybe not are clients, but they're people I know, and people that I work with at Community Title or my lender and things like that. I'm the inspector I use a lot. I'm including all of these people as well, like a contractor that works with me a lot on, so just everybody that I know, and probably was more than 75, but I probably forgot a few. But anyway, just as many people as I know is who I invite.
Do all of you include your Sphere in addition to past clients? Just by a show of hands, do you all include Sphere also? Yes?
Yes. Yeah.
Most of you do. Okay, good. Eloise, talk to me about who gets invited and who shows up.
So our marketing person sends out about 875 postcards, and it's to previous clients, Sphere, in-year other side buyers, prospects. We include all of those. She sends 2 postcards, and then she follows up with 5 emails, and we have about 450 email addresses. And then, like I said, we average about 100 pies, and I would say probably an average of 2 people per pie end up showing up, and some people show up at the very beginning and stay. We have to kind of close the office down to get them out, but and they really just enjoy the event, and they've met each other and enjoy coming every year.
Awesome. Bob?
What I do is I have a monthly newsletter that goes out with my Buffini materials, and that goes out to about 220 people every month. So that does include some sphere of influence, but it also includes all of my past clients. And the invitation is in the newsletter, but the newsletter specifically states, for example, for the luncheon, that it's only for past clients, active current clients. So the few sphere that have never worked with me don't actually come out to the luncheon. Because everybody that comes there has done a transaction with me.
Yep.
And it's just because the whole thing with the cruise is driven by everybody gets an entry into the cruise that's ever done a transaction with them.
Mm-hmm.
If they've done 5 transactions, they get 5 entries into the cruise every year if they come to the luncheon. And then when they refer me business, they get additional entries the year of those referrals.
Okay.
So that circle there is not going to include circle of influence per se. It's always going to just include my clients. The movie, I'm a little more open on that. So if I have somebody at the circle of influence who wants to come out to the movie, I welcome them to come out. But that's kind of the numbers as far as, what you have there. And I would say as far as the number of people that come out, probably of my past clients and active clients, maybe a third come to these events, but who comes varies from year to year.
Okay. Let's switch gears a little bit and talk about invitations and the planning of these events. Some of you mail invitations, some of you use email, it sounds like. How are you following up? Are they RSVPing online? Are you calling them? Are they texting you saying yay or nay? Pam, talk to us about that.
I've been using Evite. It might be a little antiquated for some people, but it works for me. I can see when they've opened the invitation. I can, and it's an opportunity for them to reply and for me to see them replying and know that they've been contacted, and then I'll follow up through that, and as well as phone calls. So it's worked for me. I get to develop or design a different little cute invitation about pies every year and put as much information in there as I want.
Cool. Steve, how do you invite your people to your
So I have
events?
migrated from paperless post to MailChimp. Chris Kraus helped me figure that out a while back, maybe last fall. And it's been pretty successful. So my invitation is pretty much email. It's not going to be snail mail. I follow up with phone calls. And usually if the event is on a Wednesday or Thursday night, I will do a Zoom video reminder on the Monday before the event, just to kind of, again, promote it. And I'm making phone calls through the invite list just to kind of drum up interest as well. So I'm touching them on a variety of levels before, during, and I'll follow up with folks who have attended afterwards.
Cool, good. Eloise, you guys are doing snail mail, email. Do you do phone calls also?
Yeah. So what happens is the people get to pick a pie. So they'll call and RSVP and pick either apple, pecan, or pumpkin. And after the RSVP deadline closes, we end up calling some of our clients to say, hey, did you see this invitation? There's still time if you want to order a pie. And so we reach each of the individual agents, reaches out to their previous clients if they haven't replied.
Got it. Bob, anything to add to the invite system, if you will?
Sure. Yeah. So like, for example, for the December luncheon, the invitation goes out in the newsletter in October and in November. So they get this 2 months in advance. I follow up with a lot of Facebook messages because I get to be friends with pretty much all my clients on Facebook. So Facebook is one way that I follow up to make sure you got the invitation. Here's the menu options, that kind of thing. Most people are responding and RSVPing through either Facebook, texting. I get a few emails, but it's mostly texting and Facebook.
Awesome.
And there are some phone calls mixed in there.
Good. Talk to me about follow-up after the event. Steve, you said you make follow-up calls. Does anybody else follow up after the event?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And it just depends on conversations had at the event. I follow up based on those conversations.
Good. I would have guessed that based on who coaches you that you would follow up after the event. Eloise, you are nodding your head. Yes.
Yeah, so one of the things that we've added to our event is a gift basket giveaway. So that allows us to collect current information for our clients. It also, we ask them which charity they want us to give the leftover pies to. And then at the bottom, we say, hey, do you know anybody who's planning on buying or selling? Sometimes we get answers in that, but sometimes we'll get referrals much later after that. But it allows us a way to post to Facebook and Instagram, here's who won the gift basket and that kind of stuff. We don't open up our initial invitations on Facebook because we only want past clients, but we definitely want to promote that we do the event on Facebook and Instagram. Mary, our marketing person, also sends a thank you to the entire client database as thanks for showing up, and we had a great event kind of thing, follow up.
Awesome. Do any of you? Yeah, go ahead, Pam.
Last year I had a friend's 1950 red pickup truck sitting in front of my house with the Remax balloon in the back of it. And so I took pictures with my clients. And then afterwards I texted them the picture of us together in front of the, things like that, and followed up with a thank you note as well.
Awesome.
Sorry, I just want to
Yeah,
throw
go
it,
ahead, Steve.
instead of just phone calls, I'll often write a personal note though, because that's something that, I can make some time to do. You may not always get somebody live on a phone call, but a personal note, they're going to get it and read it.
I appreciate that. Sharon Shade was asking, do you give your clients a choice of pie? The Pat Fails team, Louise, you all do. Pam, yes?
I do. I send them, I usually have probably 5 or 6 different pies. Mom's apple pie has so many to choose from. I pick and choose, and then they get to pick. Yeah.
Steve, yes?
3.
Okay.
Pumpkin pecan.
Pam, where do you stash these pies that need to be refrigerated before they're picked up?
Well, my neighbors are nice. Some of them have been going in my neighbors' refrigerators, but a lot of the pies, like the apple pies that come from there, they don't have to be refrigerated. Some of them, pumpkin, depends on what they choose. But I pretty much make sure my fridge is pretty cleaned out, and
I'm sure.
they go in there the night before.
Cool. Does anybody use sponsors for their events? Do any of your vendors sponsor any of your stuff?
Yes.
Not yet.
No, except for Bob. Bob,
my lenders work with me, and my closing attorney works with me.
Awesome.
They've been participating now for many years.
So they just kick in some money. Do they do like door prizes? Is there something specific that they do? Okay.
Yeah. So basically, let's say, there's a budget for door prizes for an event. Generally, they're going to be doing those. My wife and I, we buy everything, and they just give me a contribution toward those items.
Okay. Yeah.
And, because at my movie and my luncheon, I've got a big screen with everybody in front of their houses on the big screen going on the screen. I also include ads in there for those sponsors that are scrolling in front of them, just thanking them for their participation in the event.
Yep. Very good. But yeah, Steve.
Yeah, Charlie, one thing that I do for the Thanksgiving gratitude pie party is I tie that into a donation to the Capital Area Food Bank. I ask folks to bring canned foods. With the invitation, I send out a list of what the Capital Area Food Bank would like, dry goods that they can bring. And so usually I end up with, 15 bags of groceries that I end up taking over there on Monday or Tuesday after the event.
Oh, that's awesome. Anybody else have anything to add that maybe I missed that you want to share with our audience? No? Good. Okay. I would add, I need to go get a piece of pie, but I would encourage all of the associates watching to, really take advantage of the fall, plan an event. Lots of our associates, certainly this group and others, do outstanding client events. So I appreciate you all joining me. Bob, I've wanted to get you on one of my shows for, I think, 2 years. So it's great to see you today.
Yeah.
And same with the rest of you all. I hope you all have a great rest of the day. Thanks again for your time.
Thank
For
you.
Thanks,
everybody else,
Charlie.
we will see you back here next month for the October sales meeting. Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks, Charlie.